We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.
A new century began with a crazy decade for QPR, as the club went through it all off the pitch, from administration to various takeovers, courtroom dramas to being taken over by billionaires. On the pitch it was never dull, with some real lows and a few massive highs. Now this video will look at the top 10 goal scorers of the noughties, counting down with who scored the most goals for QPR in both league and cup competitions between 2000 and 2009. To kick things off, we have two players with the same number of goals scored for Rangers. In 10th place, he came from Arsenal and he cost the Rs. It's Chris Kiwomya. Now, Kiwomya polarised opinion during his time at the club, but he scored 17 goals in the noughties, 13 in the league and 4 in cup competitions. He began his career at Ipswich, where he played over 250 times for the club, scoring 62 goals. And he joined Arsenal in 1995, but struggled to make an impact there, scoring just 3 goals before moving to QPR in 1999, initially on trial before joining on a free transfer. Kiwomya scored a hat-trick on the final day of the season in 1999 to ensure QPR stayed up, and he became a key player for Rangers, scoring 13 in the 1999-2000 season. His first goal of the decade came in a 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest, and the goals continued as he helped Rangers to a mid-table finish. He faced his former side Ipswich at Loftus Road, scoring this goal in a 3-1 win. Now the 2000-2001 season was a disaster for the club, and Kiwomya struggled to repeat his previous form. He started the season well, scoring this late equaliser against Gillingham, but injuries and loss of form saw him start to struggle. Kiwomya's last goals for QPR helped us to crucial wins over Barnsley and Gillingham, but they were not enough to help the club avoid relegation. Overall, Kiwomya scored 17 of his 30 QPR goals in the noughties, making him 10th on this list. In 9th place, we have the hugely popular defender Danny Shittu. Now, Shittu scored 17 goals for QPR in the noughties, all of them in the league, putting him just ahead of Kiwomya on this list. Now, Shittu joined QPR on loan from Charlton in 2001 and didn't enjoy the best of starts, being sent off in a 4-1 defeat at Peterborough. He quickly became popular amongst the fans, though, with his no-nonsense defensive approach, whilst he was always a threat at set pieces. He scored his first goal for QPR with this powerful header in a win over Chesterfield. When his loan came to an end, the club couldn't afford to buy him, so QPR fans Matt and Alex Winton helped to fund the £250,000 transfer fee and bring him to the club. The deal proved to be a controversial one, with Brentford chairman Ron Nodes amongst those voicing disapproval, but Shittu was now a QPR player, and he went from strength to strength. He helped QPR to the playoff final in 2003, and he scored 7 goals that season, including this one in a vital win over Brentford. He was establishing himself as a key player for QPR, and despite the team losing in the playoff final that season, he stayed at the club and helped us to win promotion in 2004. Now, Shittu's own season ended early that year with a bad knee injury, but he returned in the 2004-05 season and scored this winning goal against Cardiff. Now, Shittu's main assets were as a defender, but he was always a great asset from set pieces, scoring 4 goals in the 2004-05 season, and he repeated that total the following year. He left QPR to join Watford in 2006 for £1.6 million, but he returned to QPR in 2011, helping the club win promotion to the top flight. Shittu remains one of the most popular players amongst the fan base of the last 20 years, with his name still sung at matches to this day. In 8th place, we have another hugely popular player, and with 18 goals, it's Akos Buzsaky. Now, Buzzaky was not one for tap-ins, scoring some spectacular goals during his time at the club. He joined QPR from Plymouth, initially on loan in 2007, and he became one of the first new signings of the Flavio Briatore era. He quickly introduced himself to Rangers fans, scoring this goal in his debut against Coventry City. Buzsaky was a natural QPR number 10, adding real flair to the team and scoring some spectacular goals. This double against Scunthorpe had fans off their seats, and his eye for goals continued, scoring some goals of real quality. He made his loan move permanent in January 2008, and he helped the club move away from relegation trouble, scoring 10 goals that season, all of them spectacular, including this improvised effort against Blackpool. Now, the following season was a tough one for the Hungarian international. He scored just the one goal as a bad knee injury saw him miss the majority of that season. But he returned in the 2009-10 season and was back scoring spectacular goals, such as this one against Barnsley in a 5-2 win. He ended the decade with 18 goals for QPR, but that was not the end of his time at the club. He continued to impress, scoring some brilliant goals and helping the club win promotion in 2011. And he even scored a few goals in the Premier League for Rangers as well. Overall, he scored 24 goals for QPR across his career, and he sits 8th in this list. In 7th place, it's wild thing Gareth Ainsworth. Now, Ainsworth joined QPR in the summer of 2003 from Cardiff on a free transfer, and he spent a memorable 7 years in West London, scoring 21 goals. He made a stunning start to his QPR career, scoring twice on his debut at home to Blackpool in a 5-0 win. His air guitar celebration made him an instant hit with QPR fans. Now, Ainsworth stormed into QPR folklore on an incredible day in late August when we travelled to Rushden and Diamonds. He won the Goal of the Season award with this incredible long-range volley from 30 yards out, almost bursting the net with this one. He then scored another sensational goal just a few minutes later, firing in from the same position, giving the keeper no chance. Ainsworth had an outstanding first season at QPR. He scored 6 goals before Christmas as we battled to win promotion back to the Championship. Injury halted his season, but he did return to play a big part in the team winning promotion, and he serenaded the fans at Hammersmith Town Hall as we celebrated a great season. He scored the first goal for QPR back in the Championship in a 1-1 draw with Rotherham at Loftus Road, and he had a great season on the right wing, helping QPR to a top half finish. The 2005-06 season was his best for goal scoring. He got 9 goals across the season. He got this double against Hull to salvage a draw, and his never say die attitude was something that made him a massive fan's favourite. In the 2006-07 season, his return to the team in February was a massive boost after a long spell out injured. His performances were a major part of the team staying up that season, and his attitude was summed up when he suffered a broken leg in a vital game against Luton, but rather than show he was in pain, he tried to run it off before being helped off the pitch. A true warrior for QPR. His final goal for the club came when he came off the bench to help the team come from 2-0 down to draw with Preston. In his last 2 years at the club, he moved into a player coach role and twice took over as caretaker manager during a turbulent few years at the club. Ainsworth went on to continue playing and later manage at Wycombe Wanderers, and he sits 7th in the list of top QPR goal scorers for the Noughties. In 6th place, we have Richard Langley. Now, Langley scored 22 of his 24 goals for QPR in the Noughties, as the academy graduate became an excellent player for Rangers. He actually scored the first goal of the new millennium with a last-minute winner at Swindon Town, which was a great way to start the new year. His impressive performances in the QPR midfield helped Rangers to a top-half finish that season, and he scored this great goal on the final day of the season in a 3-1 win at Portsmouth. Now, the 2000-2001 season was a disaster for QPR, but Langley had quickly become a key player for us, scoring this late equaliser at Stockport. But his ACL injury in a home game against Fulham ended his season and any chance QPR had of staying up. After a long spell out injured, he returned to the team in a away game at Reading and quickly regained his old form, scoring some spectacular free kicks and this incredible goal against Blackpool. The 2002-03 season was his best for QPR as he starred in the Rangers midfield, scoring goals and creating chances for his teammates. He played more as a wide player during this spell, and he finished the season brilliantly, scoring this hat-trick in a 3-1 win at Blackpool. He then scored a vital winner at Cardiff as QPR hung on for a playoff place, with Langley scoring 10 goals for the team that season. In the playoffs, he scored the equaliser at Oldham to earn Rangers a 1-1 draw, but a red card in the same game meant he not only missed the second leg, but the final as well, and he was badly missed as Rangers lost 1-0 at Cardiff. He scored on the opening day of the following season before grabbing this winner in the Cup against Cheltenham, just days before leaving the club to join Cardiff City. He returned to QPR 2 years later, which didn't prove to be as successful, but he still scored 3 goals for a midfield in a struggling side. Overall, he had an excellent career at QPR, scoring some brilliant goals and providing some great memories for QPR fans. Into the top 5 now, and a forward who did brilliantly for QPR. It's Andy Thompson. Now, Thompson scored 30 goals for QPR across 2.5 seasons after joining the club from Gillingham in 2001. He scored 4 goals in the final 6 matches of the season as the team battled in vain to stay up, but his goals and performances gave hope of a brighter future. The 2001-02 season was his best for the club, scoring 21 goals for the team, and he remains the only forward to score more than 20 goals in a season for QPR this century. He scored the winner on the opening day of the season as Rangers beat Stoke, and he had an excellent start to that season, scoring 6 goals in the first 7 games of the season, including this hat-trick against Port Vale. He grabbed a double against Cardiff to help Rangers to a tight 2-1 win. And this was his 18th of the season, producing an incredible first half of that season and kept QPR in the hunt for a playoff place. He ended up missing a chunk of the season through injury before returning to get back amongst the goals as Rangers finished in the top half. He never quite reached those heights again as he struggled with injuries and was used more off the bench, but he still scored 5 goals in the 2002-03 season, and he did start in that playoff semi-final win over Oldham and came off the bench in the final. Thompson left QPR to join Partick Thistle in 2003 and sits in 5th place in this list. In 4th place, we have Dexter Blackstock, who scored an impressive 32 goals for QPR during his 3 years at the club. Now, Blackstock joined QPR for £500,000 from Southampton back in the summer of 2006 as manager Gary Waddock looked to freshen up the forward line. He took a little while to get his first goal, scoring in a 1-1 draw at Plymouth. His fortunes began to change though when John Gregory arrived as manager, with Blackstock scoring the second goal in a 2-0 win over Hull. He then scored again against his former club Southampton in a 2-1 win. Blackstock was a threat all season for Rangers, and he had a great understanding with Lee Cook, who created several goals for him with his outstanding delivery from the left. Blackstock really came into his own towards the end of the season, with this brilliant goal against Preston helping Rangers to a vital win in their bid to avoid relegation. He added another 2 goals in a win over Luton before finishing the season with 14 goals, which was his best goal-scoring season at QPR. He struggled for goals the following season after the death of his teammate Ray Jones hit him really hard, whilst a major influx of new players following the Flavio Briatore takeover meant that his place in the side was under real threat. He finished that season well, scoring 4 goals in the last 7 games, and he was back on form the following year, scoring 4 goals in the first 6 games of the 2007-08 season. He was top goal scorer that season with 11 goals, but was bizarrely loaned out by the club, which brought about the dismissal of Paulo Sousa as QPR manager and left us short of goals as a promising season fell away. He left on a permanent deal to join Nottingham Forest in the summer of 2009, but he remains a well-liked player at QPR who had an excellent goal-scoring record, and he is fourth on this list. Into the top three now, and in third place we have Martin Rowlands, who spent 9 years at the club, scoring 37 goals for QPR. Rowlands joined QPR on a free transfer from Brentford after the midfielder had suffered a broken leg, but he regained fitness to become the club's player of the season in his first year at the club. His first goal for Rangers was this late solo effort in a 2-0 win at Wrexham, which really introduced him to the team. Rowlands stood out for QPR wherever he played, impressing on both the left and the right wing all season, whilst many felt he played his best football through the middle. Rowlands also played at full-back for the team during his time at the club. Playing out wide brought about his best goal-scoring season in 2003-04. He scored 12 league and cup goals. These winning goals against Stockport and Blackpool were important goals for the team in their quest to win promotion. As the season drew to a close, he scored this winning goal against Swindon to put QPR on the brink of promotion. And this cross into the box at Hillsborough was turned into his own goal by Chris Carr to ensure Rangers won promotion to the Championship. Rowlands' performances got even better after promotion, scoring this wonderful goal in a 2-2 draw at Sunderland. He helped QPR to a mid-table finish with some excellent performances for the team, but he had an injury-hit season in 2005-06 before being made captain and really shining for the team the following year. He scored 10 goals as we battled to stay up under John Gregory. He'd become the club's penalty taker, which meant he was a regular goal scorer for the team, both from the spot and in open play. This penalty against Norwich helped QPR to their first win of the season in 2007-08, and despite an influx of money and new players, Rowlands remained a key player for the team, scoring goals from midfield. An ACL injury in 2008 ended his season during a win at Derby, but he returned the following season, winning international caps with the Republic of Ireland. Sadly, a second ACL injury whilst on international duty pretty much ended his time at QPR. After recovering from the injury, he had several spells out on loan before leaving the club in 2012. Now, injuries prevented him from playing in the Premier League, but he goes down as one of the best midfield players at QPR this century, and he sits third in this list of top goal scorers in the noughties. The top two now, and we have joint winners of this, with both Kevin Gallen and Paul Furlong both scoring 58 goals for QPR in the noughties. Now we'll start with the magic hat himself, Kevin Gallen, who scored 58 goals in the noughties, 55 in the league and 3 in cup competitions. Now at the start of the decade, it seemed unlikely he'd be on this list, as he struggled to get a place in the QPR team under Jerry Francis, and he left the club at the end of the 99-2000 season after scoring this goal against Portsmouth, which many assumed was his last game for the club. He had spells at Huddersfield and later Barnsley, but after QPR were relegated in 2001, the club was struggling and on a bad losing run. After losing 4-0 to Swansea in the FA Cup, a move was made to bring Gallen back to QPR, and it was like he'd never been away. On his second debut for the club, he scored in a 4-0 win over Swindon Town, and his excellent hold-up play and finishing skills ensured the move was a massive success. He scored a further 2 goals in a draw with Colchester, and his performances helped results to improve in the second half of that season, as we finished just outside the playoff places. Gallen started the 2002-03 season well, scoring in this opening day win over Chesterfield, and he helped the team to a good start, including this goal in a 3-1 win at Bristol City. The team's form began to drop through the autumn, and an injury saw him miss a few games, but he put an end to an 11-game run without a win with this winning goal against Wycombe Wanderers on Boxing Day. Now this started a strong second half of the season for both Gallen and QPR. He scored this last-minute winner against Stockport before forming a strong partnership with Paul Furlong as the team really pushed for the playoffs. He scored this winner against Bristol City, which was a major boost to the team, as Rangers secured a place in the playoffs. And Kevin won the Player of the Year award. He's seen here getting the Kick Up the Arse trophy from yours truly. Due to Richard Langley's red card in the first leg at Oldham, Gallen had to change positions and play on the right wing on that fateful night against Oldham. And he was wide again for the final in Cardiff. He was certainly less effective out wide, and the team missed out on promotion. But the 2003-04 season proved to be the most memorable of his time at the club. He was the club's top goal scorer with 17 goals as we challenged for promotion. He scored this fine goal to open the scoring against Barnsley, and then he went on a fine run in November, scoring 10 goals in 13 games. These included this double against eventual champions Plymouth in a 3-0 win. Gallen scored some vital goals in the second half of the season as we clung on to second place. This late equaliser at home to Peterborough kept Rangers just ahead of Bristol City in the race for promotion before that final day of the season when Rangers needed to win at Hillsborough. Of course, Gallen opened the scoring that day and settled all the nerves, and we went on to win promotion to the Championship. In his last few years at the club, Gallen was used a lot more in midfield, but the goals continued to come. 10 in our first season back in the Championship, including goals in these wins over Brighton and Watford. His final goal for the club came in a 4-2 win over Crystal Palace, leaving him with 97 goals across his career at QPR, 58 of them coming in the noughties. A real club legend, Kevin Gallen is joint top of this list, and he shares that honour with Paul Furlong, who also scored 58 goals. Now, Furlong didn't have the best of starts at Rangers. He joined on loan in the 2000-01 season and scored this goal against Crewe, but it was an injury hit spell. He only played 3 games for the club and Rangers were relegated. He returned to the club a few years later on a free transfer, but injuries hit again, with him scoring just 3 times in his first 11 appearances. He quickly became a bit of a target for the fans, with his name booed before some games, even before he kicked a ball. His time at QPR looked over before it had really begun, but he scored this goal in a 4-2 win at Chesterfield, and things started to turn around. He scored against Northampton a week later, before getting another in the 4-0 win over Port Vale, which prompted fans to start singing his name. And the turnaround from public enemy number 1 to one of our most popular players was quite incredible. Furlong was outstanding in the second half of that season. He scored 10 goals during the run-in, including this vital one in a 2-1 win over Cardiff. May 14, 2003 was the night that Furlong wrote himself into QPR folklore as we faced Oldham in the playoff semi-final. A tense night at Loftus Road with an electric atmosphere. It was Furlong who held off that challenge from Fitzall and scored the winning goal, and Loftus Road erupted. To this day, it remains the best atmosphere I've ever encountered at the stadium, and the stand genuinely seemed to move that night during the delirious celebrations. Although Rangers lost the final in Cardiff, Furlong was now established as a club legend after that night, and he got better the following season. He started the 03-04 season on fire. He scored 5 goals in his first 6 games, and over the season got 16 goals, leading the line for Rangers alongside Gallen and Tony Ford. This last-minute equaliser at Barnsley proved to be massive in helping QPR win promotion that year. We'd have finished in the playoffs without this one. Now, on the final day of the season, he scored that all-important second goal as we gained promotion at Hillsborough. His form got even better in the Championship, scoring 18 goals with some really memorable ones. When Ian Holloway looked set for the chop, Furlong repaid the faith shown in him a few years earlier with this double against Plymouth to start off a 7-game winning run for the team. That run included this brilliant double for Rangers as we come from 2-0 down to beat Leicester City 3-2 at Loftus Road. Now, this header in a 1-0 win over Wigan was a classic Furlong moment. Great movement and a powerful header. Now, the team struggled in the 2005-06 season, but Furlong was still amongst the goals. He got this one to earn a win over Leicester. And in his final season, it was a bit stop-start for him with injuries, but he played a key part in making sure the team stayed up. He got this late winner against Luton Town to win the game for Rangers and ensure the club avoided relegation. Furlong went on to play for Luton and Barnet before returning to QPR as a coach in 2012, and he has since managed both the under-18s and under-23 teams. So there you have it with the top 10 goal scorers of the 2000s. In 10th place, we had Chris Kawamia with 17 goals, Dan Shittu in 9th, also with 17. Akos Buzzaky's 18 put him in 8th place behind Gareth Ainsworth and Richard Langley. Andy Thompson sits in 5th with 30 goals, behind 32-goal Dexter Blackstock. And in 3rd place, we've got Martin Rowlands with 37 goals. But top of the pile are joint winners Kevin Gallen and Paul Furlong, both with 58 goals. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more QPR content.